There's so much debate about which hearing aids are the best. But did you know that there's another factor that will have an even greater impact on your hearing than how good your hearing aids are? Well, in this video, I'm talking about and showing you the single most important thing that will determine your success with hearing aids. Coming up. Hi guys, Cliff Olson, Doctor of Audiology and founder of Applied Hearing Solutions in Anthem, Arizona. And on this channel, I cover a bunch of hearing-related information to help make you a better informed consumer. So if you're into that, consider hitting the subscribe button. Have you ever noticed that whenever we talk about hearing loss, the conversation naturally gravitates towards hearing aid options? Well, it's not really surprising because in 90+% of cases of hearing loss, hearing aids just happen to be the best treatment option. But it all really stems from the hearing aid manufacturers. You see, the hearing aid manufacturers, their job is to create this new hearing aid technology that greatly improves your ability to hear when you have a hearing loss. And this information that they have has kind of like a trickle-down effect. They take that information and that's how they share their differentiating value with the people who dispense those hearing aids. So the hearing instrument specialists, the audiologists who all dispense hearing aids, they get this information from the manufacturer. That naturally leads to them marketing more of the technology aspect because that's what they understand, because that's what they understand and what they get from the manufacturer. And then when they market that, that's what you as the consumer end up reading about and learning about, and it gives you this concept of the hearing aids are the most important factor when it comes to treating hearing loss. Now, I don't want you to think for a second that I don't think that the hearing aid technology is important, because it is. In fact, you need to make sure that you have the right hearing aid for your hearing loss, otherwise it could have detrimental effects in your treatment. That being said though, it's not the most important factor when it comes to treating your hearing loss. Now, there are a number of factors that will determine your level of success and satisfaction with hearing aids. And this encompasses everything from the type of counseling that you receive to a recommendation to go to a hearing loss support group. But perhaps the most important factor is how well those hearing aids are programmed for your hearing loss. You see, what most people don't understand is that in order to have maximum benefit from hearing aids, you need to have what are called real ear measures performed. Real ear measures are simply just a way to verify that the hearing aids are programmed correctly to your prescription. In fact, the only way to verify that a hearing aid is programmed correctly is to have these real ear measurements completed during your fitting appointment. The problem is that only an estimated 30% of hearing care professionals actually use real ear measures when fitting a hearing aid. This means that, let me get my calculator, 70% don't use real ear measures to make sure that you're actually meeting the prescription for your hearing loss when fitting your hearing aids. So if they're not verifying that a hearing aid is actually programmed appropriately, what are they doing? Well, most of them actually just take the estimates given off by the hearing aid manufacturer software for what it thinks that you will need for amplification. The problem is that research consistently indicates that this does not achieve the level of amplification that meets your prescription for hearing loss. Not only that, but they've also done other research that shows that an old analog hearing aid fit using real ear measures actually performs better in background noise than a modern digital hearing aid that is fit not using real ear measures. So how do hearing aid fitters actually get you to keep these hearing aids that are not fit appropriately for your hearing loss? Well, the first reason is that hearing aid manufacturer software sometimes gets the estimates closer to your prescription, and so you do actually get some benefit from the hearing aids. And then the other way that they do this is they actually use the power of suggestion. So sometimes you'll hear them say, "Sounds good, doesn't it?" And it basically puts you in this situation where you feel obligated to agree with them, and then ultimately deep down inside feeling like, well, I really should be getting benefit out of these, so maybe I just don't realize it yet. The power of suggestion is a real tactic used to control your perception of things. In fact, researchers who study human behavior have identified it as a very powerful way to control your decision-making process. When you combine good enough and the power of suggestion, it leads to a recipe of hearing aid acceptance with substandard results. Let me put this into a little bit of perspective by using an analogy. Let's say that you want to get your vision tested because you think you need some glasses, and you go into your optometrist. You go through your full vision test, and at the end of that vision test, they put out a bunch of lenses out on a table and say, go ahead and pick out which ones you think are right for you. And then when you go ahead and put those lenses up to your eyes, they say, look pretty good, right? And you're like, I guess they look pretty good. And then they don't even check to make sure that they're the right prescription. Now, maybe you did by accident pick out the exact right prescription for you, but why would you want to take that chance? Well, in essence, this is exactly what's happening on a massive scale in the hearing aid industry right now. There are a lot of individuals who accept that level of treatment with their hearing. So you're probably thinking, I know, real ear measures are important. I get it. You need them to make sure that hearing aids are fit appropriately to my hearing loss prescription. But what are they? What do they look like? How do I know that someone's even doing real ear measurements for me? Well, let me show you. All right, let's take a minute to show you how this patient is set up for real ear measurement. And what you'll see is this individual has a probe microphone tube down inside of her ear. It's that clear looking tube that that arrow is pointing to. She's also wearing a hearing aid that is down inside of her ear, and it happens to be a behind the ear model. And what you also see is a speaker set up on the desk. So what's going to be happening is that speaker is going to play sound towards the patient. That hearing aid is going to pick up the sound and amplify it a certain amount inside of her ear canal. That little probe microphone tube is going to pick up that amplification and show it in relation to her prescription on my computer screen in the background. And this is what my screen looks like right before starting the sound coming out of the speaker and before I start measuring it. And you can see here that we just started the measurement. Those solid purple lines that you see are the amount of amplification that's coming out of the hearing aids. And the overall goal here is to get those solid purple lines to overlap with those hash mark lines. The hash mark lines are the prescription for this patient's hearing loss, and we want those solid purple lines to be right at her prescription. As you can see, we are under her prescriptive target, both in the right ear and the left ear, and it looks like we are a little bit above her target in those low to mid-range frequencies in her left ear. And we're going to go ahead and do another round after I've made some adjustments to the programming in the hearing aid manufacturer's software. And as you can see, we are starting to get a little bit closer to those hash mark prescriptive targets. We are still a little bit off on both ears, so we are going to go ahead and do another round so we can get those even closer. And so this again is after I've made some additional adjustments. You can see that those solid purple curves, which is the sound coming out of the hearing aids, are starting to get closer to those prescriptive hash mark lines that we know that she will be hearing better at. As you can see, we are still a little ways off. So we will run another round here, and after making these final adjustments, you will see that those solid purple lines are darn near covering up those hash mark prescriptive targets all the way up to about 7,000 hertz. And on this screen, I'm just giving you a split view of what the measurements were when we let the hearing aid manufacturer software do the programming, and where we are now after making adjustments. And so I would call that programming before the adjustments bad, and I would call that programming after the adjustments good. So there you have it. Now I want to make sure that you understand. Real ear measures are extremely important to make sure that your hearing aids are fit appropriately to your hearing loss. However, they are not the only best practice that should be used when fitting hearing aids. In fact, a lot of clinics do a really good job at following a lot of different best practices, but real ear measurement really should be one of the cornerstones that they go off of. Yes, it's important that you perceive the hearing aids to be helping. Yes, it's important to go into a clinic that spends time with you and is fun to go to, and they're really nice people. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that they're performing real ear verification. And if they're not, you might want to find a new clinic. That's it for this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos just like this one, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time.